The man tried to avoid military service by pretending to be blind during the physical exam, but the officer suddenly pulled out a photo of a beautiful woman exposing the man's act on the spot. When the man realized he'd been caught, he started playing the sympathy card, saying his lower body was disabled and he'd lost his ability to function as a man, hoping the officer would classify him as disabled. But the officer said he didn't care because it wouldn't affect him going to the battlefield. In the end, the man was forced to go to the battlefield, but the French army at the time had an unwritten rule that as long as you lost combat capability, you could retire and go home. So the man decided to fake an injury to escape military service. But just as his comrade was about to fire, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Because if the man got injured, there'd be no one to help the comrade. The comrade also wanted to go home this way. The comrade pushed the gun to the man. They argued with each other, constantly pushing the gun back and forth. But in the end, it returned to the comrade's hands. Then the comrade raised the gun and aimed at his palm, but hesitated for a while. He was too scared to pull the trigger. Seeing his comrade stalling, the man grabbed the rifle, then pointed the barrel at his right foot. But in the end, he didn't have the courage to fire either. The two started arguing over this. As a result, during the argument, they accidentally pulled the trigger, shooting the sergeant in the butt with one shot. The sergeant was furious. The two were severely punished as a result and assigned to serve as machine gunners. One day, the two were plotting a new escape plan when the Germans suddenly launched a bombardment. The two were so scared they immediately ran away. The captain also hurriedly ordered a retreat. They had a chance to escape. However, the sergeant disagreed with retreating, but the captain definitely wouldn't listen to the sergeant. As the captain and other comrades were retreating, the sergeant scolded his behavior. Just as the captain was about to argue back, he was hit by a shell and killed on the spot. The sergeant successfully took over command. He immediately ordered the soldiers to hold their position, but the next second, the sergeant was also blown up. Without the restraint of superior officers, the two took the opportunity to escape from the position, but the Germans were in hot pursuit behind them. The two had no choice but to duck into a toilet and hide in a civilian's home. At that moment, an old man walked over and scolded them for being cowards. Seeing the Germans were about to search the area, the old man had no choice but to hide them in a wardrobe. Soon the Germans broke down the door. The man quickly started meowing, trying to deceive the enemy, but the Germans suddenly noticed the cat and dog were sitting quietly nearby. The two were thus exposed and captured by the Germans. But suddenly a gunshot rang out. The old man shot and killed two Germans, then had them put on German uniforms to fool the Germans and escape.